What's up, guys? So this inspiration for this video is from my buddy Flame of Liberation. Big shout out to Flame of Liberation, like and subscribe. Great anti-imperialist content. And today on this video we're going to talk about how China and Russia are capitalist, free market, Zionist, globalist countries, and how multipolarity is, in its capitalist form, a free market, Zionist, capitalist, globalist ideology. And I'm going to interchange the words globalism, globalization here because they're basically kind of the same thing. And there's a big difference between internationalism and globalism. Globalism, for me, what I believe globalism is the same thing as globalization. It's like this free market, capitalist ideology of people like Xi Jinping, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, people of that nature. Hu Jintao, that's his ideology as well, right? The ex-leader of China, who was the leader of China before Xi Jinping was the leader of China. That's their ideology, right? Bernie Sanders' ideology is globalism, right? Globalism, globalization, it's the go in, pillage the country, make them sell out to the Zionist entity. That's what that kind of ideology is. And that ties into capitalism and free marketism. And China is a globalist, Zionist, free market, capitalist country. Russia is also a globalist, Zionist, free marketist, capitalist country, right? That's what they are, right? China is the second largest trading partner of the Zionist entity behind the United States. Despite what Carl Jha, Danny Haiphong, Ben Norton, Eddie Liger-Smith, Carlos Garrido, and all the other grifters that claim to be left-wing want to tell you, China is the second largest trading partner of the Zionist entity. Chinese construction firms and shipping firms build infrastructure in the occupied 48 lands, in occupied 1948 Palestine, at the expense of Palestinians. China is guilty of genocide against Palestine. China is guilty of Zionist normalization. Zionist normalization is a form of genocide. China's ideology of multipolarity is nothing other than an ideology of capitalism, free market capitalism, globalism, and Zionism. China is trying to weaponize the Belt and Road Initiative to force Arab countries to normalize the Zionist entity because China wants to enrich themselves. China doesn't care about Palestinian liberation. China doesn't care about anti-imperialism. China is not anti-imperialist. China is imperialist, right? China is capitalist. China is globalist. And because of their collaboration with the Zionist entity, we can also say China is Zionist, China is occultist, right? That's what China is, right? And we can also say the same things of Russia. By joining BRICS, Russia is trying to force Arab countries into normalization of the Zionist entity. Since the fall of the Soviet Union, Russia has been capitalist. Russia has been free marketist. Russia has been globalist. Russia has been Zionist. And even during the Soviet Union, especially during the era of Joseph Stalin, which is why I hate Joseph Stalin, Russia was Zionist. Stalin was a Zionist cuck. Russia sent Zionist squatters to Palestine, including the maternal grandparents of Jared Ball, right? Russia and China are capitalist, free marketist, globalist, Zionist countries, right? Russia and China suck. Multipolarism is a facade that China and Russia use to disguise their free market capitalism, Zionism, globalism, also known as globalization, and occultism. You see, internationalism is different than globalism, right? Globalism is a capitalist ideology. It's the same thing as globalization. It's go into other countries, pillage the resources out of them, and make other countries poor. Internationalism is solidarity with the oppressed peoples around the world, right? That's what internationalism is. China's not internationalist. In fact, China's the opposite of internationalist. China's globalist, right? The fact that you have Zionist puppet Mahmoud Abbas meeting with Xi Jinping shows you what China's about. Again, Mahmoud Abbas is part of the party called Fatah. Fatah is a bunch of liberal Zionist sellouts. Fatah coordinates security with the Zionist entity. Fatah believes in a two-state solution. I support Palestinian Islamic Jihad, right? Again, I'm part Palestinian. You know, I have roots in the West Bank, in Al-Khalil. I have roots in the 48 lands, in Daliyat al-Karmal, and in Jaffa, okay? So I'm literally part Palestinian, right? My maternal grandpa was part Palestinian. So I support Palestinian Islamic Jihad, right? They are the most pro-liberation political party in Palestine. They oppose China, right? They oppose China because China's a bunch of Zionists, right? So you have these weak sauce Zio-cucks from Fatah who are traitors and sellouts meeting with Xi Jinping. So the fact that Fatah, the leader of Fatah, Mahmoud Abbas, is meeting with Xi Jinping tells you, and the fact that Mahmoud Abbas is a Zionist cuck and a sellout. So the fact that he's meeting with globalist, Zionist, free market capitalist Xi Jinping tells you that China's a bunch of Zionists and a bunch of sellouts, right? It's not like China's meeting with the leader of PIJ, right? Which is the initials of Palestinian Islamic Jihad, right? China sucks, right? China sucks. China's a bunch of free market, capitalist, globalist, Zionist sellouts and losers. That's what China is, right? Russia is just as bad. And I'm specifically talking about Moscow, right? The good people of Dagestan, Chechnya, and Tatarstan, they are good people. They are good Muslims. It's Moscow and the rest of the country that sucks, right? So, and again, I'm saying this as someone who respects Dagestan, Chechnya, and Tatarstan, right? I believe the Russian government and Moscow in general suck. Russia is a bunch of Zionist, globalist, free market capitalist, occultist cucks. That's what they are. Russia's a bunch of Russia, and especially Moscow and St. Petersburg, are a bunch of Zionists. They're a bunch of globalists. They're a bunch of free market capitalists, and that's why they suck. That's not real socialism. That's not real socialism. If your official position on Palestine is a two-state solution, you are not a socialist, right? If your economic ideology is multipolarity to disguise free market capitalism, globalism, globalization, Zionism, occultism, Freemasonry, you are not a socialist, right? You are not a socialist. China and Russia are not socialist. I don't even think Vietnam is socialist because Vietnam is a bunch of liberal Zionists, right? Vietnam is not socialist because they're liberal Zionists. Despite what Luna Soy, whatever the heck her name is, wants you to think. Despite what Luna Soy wants you to think, Vietnam is not socialist. Cuba, the fact that Fidel in his later years normalized the Zionist entity, that takes away their credibility, right? Most of these socialist countries, people like to parade around. Oh, these are most that the left likes to parade around as. Oh, these are socialists. They're not socialist, right? They're not socialist. So, again, China and Russia, not socialist. Vietnam, not socialist. India, not socialist. Multipolarity and BRICS is a facade that these countries are using. Brazil, not socialist, right? Multipolarity is a facade that the BRICS countries, Russia, China, India, Brazil, South Africa, are using to cover up their free market capitalism, globalism, Zionism, and occultism. That's what they're using. That's what they're doing. And Brazil is like, there's a big postmodernist vibe there, dude. Like, eu falo pouco de português, right? Pero yo no hablo portugués como hablo español, all right? Je ne parle pas le portugués. No puedo decir esto en francés porque mi francés no es tan bueno, right? So, I know a little bit of Portuguese, so I can kind of understand. I can understand it better. I can speak it porque hablo español. So, China and Brazil and Russia and India and South Africa, they're free market capitalist, globalist, Zion. Oh, maybe I don't know. South Africa's kind of iffy on that, but China, Russia, India, Brazil, they're Zionists, right? There's no denying that, right? But the BRICS countries are largely free market capitalist, globalist, Zionist, occultist, Freemason countries, right? That's what they are, dude. That's what they are. They're not true socialist countries. They are not true socialist countries. If you're a Zionist, you are not a socialist. Zionists are not socialists, okay? Zionists are not socialists. Einstein was not a socialist. Finkelstein, Chomsky, not socialists, right? Katie Halper is not a socialist. Brianna Joy Gray, not a socialist. Why? For the same reasons China's not socialist. Midwest Marx isn't really socialist either, because they ran cover for Zionist criminal Natan Levy. China and Russia is not socialist. China and Russia are Zionists, they're Freemasons, they're capitalists, they're free marketists, and they're globalists. That's what they are. Multipolarity is a capitalist ideology. It's a free market capitalist globalist ideology, and an occultist and Freemason ideology. That's what it is. That's what it is. And we must see it for what it is. So again, that's kind of my morning rant. So there you go.